Mother 3 is the third and final installment of the Mother video game series by Japanese copywriter Shigesato Itoi and video game publisher Nintendo. It was released on April 20th, 2006 on the Game Boy Advance exclusively in Japan. It has not seen a release outside of Japan since, only getting a region-exclusive Wii U and Nintendo Switch port. Mother 3 follows a young boy with psychic powers named Lucas, who goes on a journey across the Nowhere Islands to save his home from the nefarious Pig Mask army. Whilst on the surface it might seem to be a quirky RPG, its story gained infamy for its emotional core, known for bringing its players to tears by the end of the game, making it one of the most respected titles in the series. But this game would remain elusive to the rest of the world. The Mother series up to this point had gained a small yet ever-growing and dedicated following of fans in the West. Its second title, Mother 2, dubbed Earthbound in the States, was a financial failure, but it was able to spark enough discussions to gain itself an audience. Some fans had a passing familiarity with the game, and others was familiar with the series through Super Smash Bros., which featured the Mother character Ness and was curious to his origins. When Mother 3 hit Japanese store shelves, many fans clamored and petitioned to get the game localized, particularly setting their sights on then Nintendo of America president Reggie Fils-Aimé, bombarding him with requests throughout 2006, to which his answer in a 2007 interview would boil down to there needing to be a time and a place for the highly demanded title. 2008 would see the first version of the fan translation go public, being released for free online for anyone to play. Though not perfect, it was a serviceable way to play the game, but fans still demanded for an official release regardless. During Nintendo's first digital showcase at E3 in 2014, a passing joke would be made about the demand for Mother 3, to which not too long after, they would officially announce the release of not only Earthbound on digital storefronts, but also the lost English translation of the first game as well. In 2016, it would be 10 years since Mother 3 was released in Japan. The general consensus amongst fans was to move past it and just play the fan translation. In 2022, after Reggie retired from Nintendo, he would express in his autobiography, Disrupting the Game, that the localization of Mother 3 was heavily considered during the Wii U and 3DS era, but did not have the confidence in its release due to the Wii U's poor sales, and the untimely death of then president of Nintendo of Japan, Satoru Iwata, who was the true driving force behind its localization. In 2024, Mother 3 releases on the Nintendo Switch. Since the console isn't region locked, the Western world can play the game for the first time, but it's still untranslated. When asking the series creator about the game getting an English release, he would tell them to direct the request to Nintendo and not to him. This long and tiring road that spans almost 2 decades of corporate complications and fan disappointment has left people speculating as to the true reason why this easy slam dunk for Nintendo was never made. But assuming can only get you so far until something even worse begins to form. The biggest theory surrounding the game's lack of localization is due to the game's content being too controversial to be released without heavy censorship. And in my opinion, the examples tend to be over-exaggerations or thinks Nintendo's already gotten away with in localized games. So I'm going to focus on the big point of contention amongst fans: the Magypsies. The Magypsies are a group of genderless figures that some people equate to stereotypical depictions of transgender people, but that is assuming they are under the gender binary, which they are not. The Magypsies refer to themselves by multiple pronouns, and all don't care for gender norms, more than likely putting them under the non-binary umbrella than anything. They are also based on the specific drag community in Japan, something Nintendo has parodied in other localized games before, like The Legend of Zelda: Twilight Princess. The Egg123 provides an excellent video going more in depth of these characters with a unique perspective that I would recommend people checking out. I will link the video in the description below. Another controversy surrounding the Magypsies is their own name. It is true the Magypsies' name might have been derived from the word, which is used to incorrectly refer to Romani immigrants that were assumed to be Egyptian. I am not here to speak on the feelings of the Romani people. All I know is that the word has a far more complicated history where the word is accepted by some Romani people, but that is not my point. The Magypsies don't resemble anything from Romani culture, even stereotypically, and it is more than likely the choice of the word came from its use as a synonym for free spirit. Now, when breaking down the word Magypsy, the singular and plural versions contain abbreviations for psychic, PSY and PSI, so if the name really was an issue, they could easily change it to just Magypsy, MAGI-PSI, and almost nothing of value would be lost. And finally, is the biggest point of controversy surrounding the Magypsies, the famous hot spring scene. The hot spring scene is a cultural landmine of context that could easily be misunderstood by the Western world. Nakedness and shared baths aren't seen as big of a taboo in Japan. The intention of the scene was to feel like death and rebirth, as Lucas is being drowned, only being able to awaken to his PSI powers under extreme stress. However, due to cultural boundaries, a language gap, and graphical limitations of the GBA, the scene comes off as far worse than its intention. These misconceptions were exacerbated amongst fans, as well as terrible gaming content farm channels like Video Game Storytime. People may call censorship and anything between versions might change, but some things are just not accessible to a different culture, and thus, small edits that communicate the same ideas are often used in localizations. It's not as much diminishing the artistic value as much as it is clarifying it. Even with the censorship present in Earthbound, much of its ideas are still intact. No amount of edits can hide the fact that these guys are allegories for the KKK, and it's pretty obvious even between versions. The dreaded hot spring scene is small potatoes to what other Nintendo franchises got away with. Fire Emblem Fates allows incest and child marriage, as well as Earthbound itself containing a scene where Ness basically follows a prostitute into a hotel for him to then be kidnapped. All was kept in. So with all these rumors not meaning much in the grand scheme of this game, what is the real reason why it was never localized? The push to get Mother 3 localized might have ended with Satoru Iwata's tragic passing and Reggie retiring from Nintendo, but there seems to still be enough significant demand, right? It just seems as it currently stands, the new guys just do not have the same experience with the franchise or the community to recognize its significance. And even then, how do you answer for nearly 2 decades of fan demand and curiosity? The expectation would simply be too high. Once it is released, all eyes are on that game to be the best version of it can be. And with a franchise so artful and intimate as the Mother series, it can be daunting to approach it on your own, especially when its former creator wants the series to continue on without him. Nintendo knows how big a single Mother re-release is. Earthbound Beginnings and Earthbound weren't even given a regular Nintendo Switch Online drop, but instead a dedicated spot on a Nintendo Direct with a big reveal pushed. So whilst modern Nintendo might still know the outcry and importance of it, the lack of experience and general intimidation of a localization could be perceived as overwhelming. Maybe that is why, out of all fan projects, blatant pirated copies with an unauthorized translation is still around and not been taken down, with the toy himself said he would want Nintendo to work with fans to get it localized, something that might not happen anytime soon. To Nintendo, Mother 3 is just something that is not important in their money factory. It would simply be too much of a hassle to meet expectations. On Nintendo's end, localizing Mother 3 wouldn't matter, because the fans can just please themselves with their own works and they can still keep making money with other games. And on the fandom's end, Mother 3's localization wouldn't matter either, as they think Nintendo couldn't do much better of a job in comparison to the fans. But it should matter. Mother 3 is a game that does a lot of things. It's witty, it's creative, it's emotionally resonating, but most importantly, it's relevant. Mother 3 is an experience where nearly 2 decades later, it remains topical to this very day. A story about the desecration of nature and humanity by the cruel, vicious grip of capitalism, of how conforming to fascist norms leads to hate, corruption, and fear, of overcoming loss and trauma through the love you share with the people in your life. The main characters can be greatly relatable to the audience, even being considered as progressive by today's standards. To limit Mother 3 to just the niche circles of its community would be doing a disservice to the people who would feel seen by this game's messages. The fan translation might be free and easy to get, but people are more likely to buy and play official copies. And who are we as a community to deny people an opportunity to experience this incredible work of art, even if it's not one-to-one with its original release? The Mother series exudes optimism and facing impossible odds. It's what the community was built on. It's what inspired a whole subculture of gaming, with its effect making a massive pop cultural splash in more ways than one. Just look at the most important song from the franchise, Pollyanna, and you'll see clear as day what we're supposed to take away from this franchise. This series means too much to those who have played it. It's one of the most incredible experiences in gaming. It's one that can change lives. It changed mine. So let's never forget why Mother 3 should be localized, and especially why Mother 3 should matter.